Yeah.
Mine was cosmetic.
Yeah. It's just the kitchen needs some love, so we're gonna gut it, do cabinets and new shelving.
You still move your stuff in and do your cat. I mean, like, how do you do stuff?
We're not gonna like totally unpack because we also have painters coming on Monday and Tuesday. So just in the middle of every room.
Did we get any questions submitted, Casey? Do you know?
Oh, I will have to pull up the type from here in a second. Are we live right now? Anyone get a notification?
I did not get a notification.
I did not either.
It says be ready to start, but it doesn't say that you're live. I can check on our page. Oh yeah, I can see your face. You're definitely live, friend.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a day. So everybody be patient with me, please. It went live. Oh, is it still there?
Yeah. Yep, it's delayed, so there's your face looking very surprised.
Oh. Okay. Well, welcome to this special episode of almost said 100-ish FriYAY. I need to take a breath. Hi, everybody. I'm Casey McCoy. I'm the CEO and Creative Director here at Create Captivate Digital Marketing. And this is our 100th episode of 5-Minute-ish FriYAY. So we're pretty excited. And we're hoping, to see some friends out there across the globe, our friends, family, clients. We have some clients here in the room live with us today. So thank you all for joining in our celebration with us. In today's masterclass, this is our first live streaming masterclass we've ever done. So pretty exciting stuff. I keep looking over here at the crowd in the room. I need to stare at the camera. Note to future team presenters. So today we wanted to do a masterclass. We wanted to go big with this 100th episode because it's such a milestone and so exciting. But with that, we wanted to do something a little different and a little extra special for all of our viewers who have been watching and learning from us all along. So today in the masterclass, my wildly talented staff is going to drop all kinds of knowledge nuggets all about event promotion and marketing and graphic design and a little bit of everything in between. My goal for everyone who watches this is to walk away with at least a couple of tools, resources, tidbits of information, something that they didn't have before this event. So we have a ton of information to share today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I have a little bit of a presentation to share with you all. That delay is interesting. I'm going to have to mute myself here so I don't have an echo. All right. Give me one sec to pull this up. I have so many windows open. I don't know if my computer is going to be able to handle this. Today we're going to have giveaways, a live Q&A, and you all for watching today are going to get a discount code to do a discounted one-on-one time with one of our team members. But just a little bit about us at Create Captivate and myself. So I'm the founder of Create Captivate, now the CEO and Creative Director. And we have an amazing staff here that you have seen on our FriYAYs probably before if you watch them. But we are an award-winning digital marketing and graphic design agency. I'm going to take a second to introduce you to all the lovely humans who make up our team. So first up is Kara Alexander, our content creator. She is live here with us today. You will hear from her 2 separate times because she does a lot of different things around here for our clients. So she does logos, graphics, product photos, social media. I don't know, Kara, is there anything else? Did I miss something? There's probably some other things.
All the pretty things.
She makes the pretty things. That's what she does around here. Next up, not to be super confusing, but the other Kara. Kara McCann. Yes, we have two Karas, and yes, they spell it the same. Kara McCann is our resident copywriter and web designer. And she is live with us here in person today as well. So she will also be giving 2 presentations to you all. And she is the one that makes the beautiful websites and writes all the nice fluffy words. Not with us live today, but we do have a recording from Megan Hall, who is our podcasting consultant. She is also my amazing administrative assistant, who you've probably gotten emails from if you've worked with us at any point regarding contracts, invoices, and all that fun stuff. Megan is a podcasting consultant because she, as a hobby for a handful of years, has run her podcast, the Inspired Women podcast, and now she uses those skills she's learned to teach our clients how to be on podcasts or start their own. So we'll have an awesome little video from her. Next up is Michael Inicelli, our multimedia coordinator. So Michael is here with us live as well in person. He is all things video for our clients. So a vast knowledge in marketing in general. We have a little, someone's watching while they're watching in person. But Michael is all things video. He's going to give you a presentation on how to use videos to market your events before, during, and after. And then last but not least, we have Miss Allison Fife, who is our motion graphics artist. She's an animator and an illustrator, and she works with our clients on creating short story animations, animated explainer videos, illustrations, GIFs, an array of anything that is pretty and also moves. So that's our team. We're going to go ahead and get started right into presentations. What to expect with the rest of this is we are going to give you 8 mini presentations, somewhere around 10 minutes-ish each. We will have a good chunk of time at the end for Q&A. So if you want to hold your questions until then, that would be ideal. And we're going to give some giveaways. I have some free stuff for you all, so get excited. If you registered in advance, you are eligible to win one of 3 prizes. I also heard that there might be a bonus prize. There might be 4, maybe. We'll see. The topics that we're going to cover in this masterclass today: copywriting, graphic design, video, motion graphics, podcast, social media, websites, and email. But before we dive into all of that, I'm going to give you a little baby bit of strategy first. So we wanted to bring this to you guys and use event promotion as a topic because we have seen our clients and just our colleagues and friends in business and in nonprofits really have a hard time in the past several months when it comes to promoting their events and getting people actually to attend, whether it's in person or online. How do you re-engage your community after, thanks COVID? Life has changed drastically over the past year. And so we have a lot of different considerations to make when it comes to trying to get people to commit to going somewhere or attending something. And so I'm going to give you some tips and advice on different ways to get, build up the hype. I'm your hype lady at the end of the day. I'm here to help you get creative, think outside the box, and come up with ways to get people to those events and to generate leads for your business or generate, sponsorships, donations, all of that kind of thing as well. So with the changes that have happened in the past year, one thing that businesses really need to take into consideration is the different types of events and how people even want to go about that. So, there are a lot of different mindsets in our society today of, some people that choose to just go out and do whatever and say, it's fine. There's that, I'm not afraid. I'm not, whatever. That's cool. There are also people who are on the extreme opposite end of that spectrum who are like, I can't go out. I have health problems. Someone I love has health problems. I'm not here to talk about all of that with you guys. I'm here to talk about how you can really increase the reach of your audience and get the most people to attend possible and have the most successful event possible. So the 3 types of events that you'll want to consider is, are you going to go just straight up in person? Or on the flip side, are you going to take it 100% virtual and online? What I would want you to consider, in most cases, what I think will work best these days is to do hybrid. So I'm going to focus a lot of the rest of my slides on how to do a hybrid event really, really well, and some creative ideas and solutions to make it successful. So if you're going to go hybrid, one thing is that hybrid really does increase the reach of your event. So it is a lot more work. It can be much harder to foster a sense of engagement than you would have at maybe an in-person event, because you really can get a sense of community and get people to really connect. You know, we all read each other's energy, we feel each other's emotions, and we play off of that with each other. Versus online, where you have another struggle is that you don't have that sense of community, but you do remove a couple of big barriers. One is that you're removing any financial barrier, because an online event can be done for a much lower ticket price if you're charging for tickets. It can be also that you're removing a geographic barrier, whereas, you know, for this event in particular, we're doing it here live in person, allowing clients and friends to come watch in person, but also we have clients and friends who are watching from across the globe. Who knows? Our client Taylor might be watching from Germany. If you're watching, hey Taylor, what's up? We might have our client Tammy in Hawaii watching. So, you know, you do with a hybrid event have that capability to really reach more people and increase attendance overall. So that is the major plus side to going hybrid and to working around those challenges of trying to foster engagement. So no matter what you're doing though, destination is everything. Particularly for business to business type of events, I want all of our friends to consider that we've all been cooped up. We've all been stuck. We haven't been able to travel. So if you want people to travel for your event, you need to make sure and to take that into consideration. And what I mean is, if you're wanting me to buy a plane ticket, to book a hotel, to travel somewhere, after I haven't been able to do that for a long time, I'm gonna wanna go somewhere really fun. I'm gonna wanna be in a really pretty environment that feels like a vacation. So how can you blend business and leisure at the same time is really important. And with a hybrid event or an online event, this is just equally as important as well. So you can blend these two together and do it, whether it's in person, online, or a hybrid. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that right now. So it's all about the experience. After people have been really cooped up and stuck and not been able to travel, what we want these days, no matter what kind of event you're throwing, we want it to be an experience. So how can you exceed the expectations of your attendees and make a hybrid or online event an experience? Here are a few ideas. One is to use design and imagery to make those hybrid events feel more real and like they're in person. So with that, an example would be if you're doing a big, you know, everybody logs in via Zoom event on a hybrid event, maybe, you know, you just make sure and have like pretty tropical backgrounds for all your employees when they're presenting, or your presenting sponsors or whoever it might be. You can bring some of that into play and make it really fun and interesting to look at, so that it's not just a plain background. Another idea would be give it a theme. So if you can play a little bit and have some fun with your event, if that's appropriate for whatever that is, you can do something like simple, like sending a themed accessory. And this is an opportunity to get sponsors involved as well, which we'll talk more about sponsorship in a minute. But you can send a themed accessory. So an example for this would be if the Norfolk SPCA wanted to do a fundraiser event online, they could have maybe one of the local painting places like Pinot's Palette, who's been doing during the pandemic take-home kits, and they have the little mini paint packs. They could also find a pack, I have them from my pet store, these cat masks. And before the event, they could send all of their attendees a cat mask and a paint pack, and they could paint it and decorate it and bedazzle it before the event. And then you have a fun accessory to wear that's appropriate for that event. And then you could even have your sponsors sponsor a contest. So you could do a live vote or an online vote during the event and send your attendees to a website to log who had the best cat mask. So there's a lot of opportunities there with really giving it a theme and playing with it a little bit. There's also opportunities in partnering with local restaurants, caterers, chefs, delivery services. If you're doing, if you normally do a big elegant fundraiser event or something of that nature, or a business event, and you normally have like a nice deal, like a big nice dinner as part of that, you can still do that. There are plenty of local businesses I know here locally in Hampton Roads particularly that have the kind of setup that would work for that ideally. So my example for you in this would be maybe maybe a health and wellness company wants to have a hybrid event. So for those who are attending from home, they can opt in and add on to their ticket price and have groceries delivered from Neighborhood Harvest, or maybe some stuff, a meal brought in from Alkalicious Juice Bar. Those are just a couple of local companies. Look them up and maybe my example will make some more sense. But you could have those groceries delivered and then have a restaurant come in that needs some more exposure and have the chef from the restaurant teach a cooking class using the groceries that were delivered from Neighborhood Harvest. You could even kind of up the ante there with a service like Drufin Delivers, who I'm very sad is going out of business, but they deliver beer, wine, cider, adult beverages. So there are a lot of opportunities to really just get creative, and you don't have to do all the legwork yourself. You can offer that as a sponsorship opportunity and really make it easier on yourself, but provide added value and bring people more into the mix of your event, make them feel like it's more real, like they're really there in person enjoying it with you. So I just saw Lucy's comment, yes, you are live. Yes, so sponsorships are probably the biggest challenge these days. So I do want to focus on that for my last little slide here and talk to you about how you can provide value to your sponsors. If you're doing anything virtual, it does get pretty challenging to figure out how to make that happen. However, here's a list of ideas. One would be send a gift with a discount attached. So for 5-Minute-ish FriYAY, if I would have really had my life together, but I don't because I'm moving and I have a lot going on right now, I would have anyone who pre-registered, I would have shipped them out a little fun box with maybe a confetti popper, a mini champagne bottle, and like a little snack or something, snack pack of some sort, and then put a discount code in there for a one-on-one training session with our team afterwards. So there's all kinds of fun little gifts. You can provide that yourself. You can have a sponsor provide that, whatever you want to do. Now you do have the typical kind of sponsorship opportunities still, even with a virtual event. So listing the sponsor on the event website, mentioning and tagging them on social media posts, collecting all kinds of swag and shipping that out to your attendees in advance, letting them do a sponsored post or a video or something in an email that goes out before the event. One thing that I've seen over the past year that I have seen a couple of examples where it's been done really well and a lot that have not been so great, but virtual trade show booths. So if you still want to have a room full of sponsors, you can do that with different platforms. There are plenty of technological platforms that allow for that. Some of them are very pricey, but sponsorship should pay for that if you're, doing the math right. So there are also opportunities for just sponsored rooms. So if you're using like Zoom and you want to do breakout rooms, you can have your sponsors run a happy hour room. And, if Smart Mouth Brewing wanted to be a sponsor, they could do a happy hour room and talk and do a little tasting. If BizConnect was hosting a virtual event, in a heartbeat, I would sign up to either do a workshop or do office hours. Like, you have to sign up in advance, and then you get one-on-one time in a breakout room with me or someone from my team. One other idea is entertainment breaks. And this is something that I think really helps with that Zoom fatigue feeling that we all had the beginning of this year, particularly when we were like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? Can we please go back to being in person? All of us extroverts were dying a little bit inside. Entertainment breaks are a great way to do this. So with entertainment breaks, what I'm talking about is just, allow for a little bit of time in between presentations, have a local musician or a comedian, or maybe even someone like Tim Ritter, who's our friend and client at Family Fun Experience. He does games at that venue, and he can do an online game. He could do a scavenger hunt in between presentations. So there's a lot of opportunities to still bring value to those sponsorships. And there's way more than I've listed here too. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, and we have ideas for miles. So, but I'm going to pass the torch on to the rest of my team. But just as a recap, think outside the box. There are plenty of techie tools you can use. And if you can't make this happen yourself, there are plenty of people in the world who are really good at this stuff, and it's okay to ask for help. So before I pass the torch, we are going to do our first giveaway. Yay! I am going to pull up here. So we have 3 prizes, maybe a bonus prize. The first prize is this awesome little gimbal stabilizer that you can use to record nice and steady videos with your phone. I'm gonna exit out here. I need to share again because I have everything pulled up in the wheel. Oh, where to go? All right. So those of you who registered in advance, your names are in the wheel, and I'm just going to tap to spin to see who won that gimbal.
Spin that wheel.
Woo! Can I get a drum roll, please? No drum rolls? Okay. All right. It looks like Loretto Malzo. So Loretto is from the Edgar Casey ARE Research Center in Virginia Beach. And she has won this awesome little stabilizer that will help her make really cool content for their social media. So congratulations, Loretto. You are our first winner. All right. So next up on the agenda, we have Ms. Kara McCann going to talk about copy. And I'm going to run away.
Okay, make sure you can, nope, I'm a little bit taller than Casey. Hang on a second. You good? You good? Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kara McCann. I am our resident website designer and copywriter here at Create Captivate. And the first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about today is event copy. So we kind of wanted to dive into this right after overall strategy because you're going to be using words. No matter how else you promote your event, you're going to have words, right? Your copy is typically going to be one of the first things that people see. They're going to see your event name, and that's copy, friends. So we want to talk about event copy that's going to captivate your audience while also making sure that we're not overcomplicating anything. So some of the key focal points that I want to talk about are knowing your audience, some things to avoid, and I actually forgot to update this slide because I didn't mention the keywords. So just
Wing it.
yeah, we're just gonna ignore that bottom point on there. So am I click to move? Okay. All right. So first, we're going to talk about knowing your audience. So branding is one of the biggest things that we tout over here because your branding, it's everything. It's not just like your colors and your font and your logo. It's also what we call your brand voice. So your brand voice is like the style and tone that you write in. So are you quippy? Are you polished? Are you like, do you incorporate slang? Or are you very like by the book grammatically? You know, all of those things really matter when you are deciding how to write your copy. People's brains are very fickle. So if you have an event name that sounds like very posh or, you know, just a little bit more like conservative or reserved, then it's going to be at a clash if you are like a really bubbly, fun, engaging type of business. So when somebody sees something that isn't congruent with what they think about your brand, it can make them leave. It's really, it can be a little bit frustrating to know that something that simple could send somebody off, but we like consistency, right? Like in human nature is that we want something that's consistent. So if we're expecting bubbly and fun and lighthearted, we should see that. And if we don't see that, it could create kind of confusion about that brand, that company. So your branding applies to event promotion. If you're going to go off brand, you're going to risk losing your audience. And that's one less person who might come to your event. So ask yourself 3 basic questions. What's your event about? Your name for your event should tell people what it's about. You know, you don't want to go too generic or too vague because then people are going to have to dig for details. And if they have to take that one extra step, they just might not do anything. So what is your event about? What would it be like to attend your event? So is this event going to be casual? Are there going to be a lot of people? Is it going to be more of like a one-on-one kind of partnered thing? You know, what's it going to be like to be there in person or virtually? And what first impression do you want to make? You know, do you want people to really like get excited about this? Do you want them to feel kind of contemplative? Like what mood do you want to evoke when somebody first reads just the title of your event? So those are some great places to start out. Some of the things we want to avoid. So, you know, I don't know why this name kept coming into my head. It's not a real event, but I kept thinking about this concept of like a woman named Paula having a show about poodles, right? So she has some event that's like, Paula's perfectly poshed and perfect poodle show. And you're like, okay, well, that's like a little extra, right? Like I understand where she's going with this, but that's kind of a mouthful. It's going to be a lot to put on branded things, to put as event titles. Like it's a little bit long. But if she just put like Paula's show, okay, what's that about? Or poodle show. Okay, like, are they showing poodles or is it like, you know, what's going on there? Is it, are we like bringing poodles to show to each other? Like, is it a show? Are you selling me a poodle? Like, I don't understand what's happening here. So, you know, we have the too long and we have the too ambiguous. And then too cutesy, like, you know, Paula's Posh Poodle Show. Sure, that works. That's not overly cutesy. It's quippy, it's catchy. It's, you know, I'm a big fan of alliteration. So that's, you know, something that starts with the same letter for most of the words at least. So you can have something that's a little bit cutesy like that, but try not to go overboard. If you go overly cutesy, we don't say don't too cutesy it, right? So if you go too cutesy with something, or you're trying to be a little bit too like, I don't know, too just like quirky with it, it can get really muddled because even though you have a brand voice, maybe that is your style, but you always have to remember that not the people seeing this for the first time don't know everything about your event. So if it's something that's a little too in the weeds or a little too like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right word to define it, but if it's a little bit too in the weeds and people are going to have to really think about it, it's not going to click right away, dodge it. Just find something that can be a little bit simpler, that's going to, again, be really clear and help people know exactly what it is. It can be fun. It just needs to be clear. And, you know, like I say, have fun, but remember to KISS, and KISS is keep it simple, sweetheart. You know, we want to keep it as simple as possible. The other S can stand for something else, but we're nice around here, so let's keep it simple, sweetheart. And and just make sure not to like overdo it. Find something memorable that speaks to your audience, that's very clear about what you're going to do. Keep it simple. Again, have fun, but don't go overboard. Things that you can try if you want a really memorable name. Rhyming is great, anything that rhymes, because rhyming makes it easier for us to remember things. One other one that I actually wish I had put in here is something that makes you think of something else. So like if you're playing off a movie name or like a well-known local restaurant or something like that, that can be a really great approach because it will trigger familiarity while being different. So something that people can already evoke, something that's already in their mind, is a great way for them to remember it. Alliteration, like I just talked about, so things that all start with the same first letter, you know, even our company name, Create Captivate, you know, we got a lot of C's. We also had exclusively like K sounds for some of our employees at one point. We were Create Captivate with Casey, Kara, and Kara. And then we hired Michael and he just ruined everything. He was our first boy and our first non-K sound. So and we have since branched out from there. But you know, it can be fun to use alliteration, and that gives you a lot of options as well, because they're like all the words are at your disposal. If you're just trying to find words, like pop open a thesaurus, and if you're having trouble with thinking words that alliterate, just think of what you want your event to be about and literally go on thesaurus.com and start looking for words that mean what you want with the letter that you want, and voila, you have alliteration. Straight facts, like if you just want something that's super straightforward, you can have like Downtown Technology Conference. Cool. Like, you know, if you're doing a tech conference, it doesn't need to be like really quippy and engaging. It can just be like, this is literally what it's about. Or like, you know, Ghent Farmers Market, you know, like that's pretty straightforward. Like you don't need to have something big for that. It's where it's going to be, it's what it is, and you're done. So those are facts. Those are also great event names. It doesn't always need to be like this big colorful thing. If people understand, and if that's what your audience will appreciate, use it. This is not a word, but I just abbreviatable. So if you have really good abbreviations, so like, you know, just like when you think of like a kid's name where like the first, middle, and last initials sound out something cool. Like my son's initials are Jam. So, you know, we could just probably figure like JM, or like, I don't know, probably like call him Jammy in front of his high school friends just to like make him really embarrassed, because that's my job as a mom. But something like cool letters that come together where people can say, oh, I'm going to such and such event. And you can just say it instead of having to say the whole event name, you can just abbreviate it and people are still going to know what you're talking about. Some great examples. South by Southwest is one of the most common like big conferences that people know a ton about. It's every single year. It's got a cool abbreviation, even though it doesn't spell anything. SXSW still looks cool and kind of sounds cool when you see it somewhere. It's also a play on Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, and they thought it would be fun because South by Southwest, unlike North by Northwest, is not an actual point on a compass. So they just wanted to have fun with it. And it's very memorable. And again, it's not like South by Southwest are super exciting, colorful words, but they've turned it into something, and it's now extremely memorable. And you hear that and you know exactly what you're going to see and exactly what's happening there. We also have the Death Becomes Her Drag Ghost Tour, which I absolutely love. I don't think they're doing it anymore, but it was in Chicago for a long time. And Death Becomes Her, for anyone who doesn't know, is a really popular movie. It's probably from the 80s. So they took a play on pop culture, and then, you know, they turned it into a drag ghost tour, and Death Becomes Her works great for anything drag. Like you could absolutely make that translation. So it's entertaining, it spoofs pop culture, but you're still knowing exactly what you're getting. And then another one that's super simple, I've seen it around here, Pups and Pints or Barks and Brews, you know, anything like that. And you're like, oh, well, it's short and sweet. I'm going to go see dogs and I'm probably going to drink, you know, like that's what's happening at that event. It doesn't need to be this big thing. It uses that alliteration we talked about. And it's just a really great way to make it very short and sweet. Like I said, keep it simple. This is what we have. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. Yeah. And I didn't, that's my last slide for that one. So the end. So I'm going to pass it off now to Kara Alexander, our other Kara. She's going to talk to you about graphics.
If you just want to exit out.
Yeah. And then right here.
Next one.
Ta-da.
And hit the present button. I'm short, so I've got to fix that.
Oh, if not, oh, there we go.
There you go.
I did it.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I am short, so I'm going to fix that. All right. Hello, and welcome to 100th episode of FriYAY as we continue. So today we're going to talk about graphics that grab your attention. So hello, if you don't know me, I am Kara Alexander. I am the content creator and graphic designer. So let's get into it. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about what makes a graphic excellent, great, good, whatever fabulous word you want to use, resizing Canva images, as well as variations of graphics. So what makes a graphic captivating? What constitutes as a good graphic, and how does it inform while pushing people to those call to actions? Keep it clean, you know, really good use of negative space. I feel like we're always threatened by the negative space. We want to fill it up as much as possible, right? You know, you just put all the information on there. Please do not do that. So we want to keep it clean, have a really good use of negative space, because actually it'll captivate people more, and it also focuses on those information more. Informative, but don't put too much information. Graphics are a place for bullet points, like they are a PowerPoint. You don't want paragraphs. Push people to your website, use those call to actions, put it in the caption, and then just keep it pleasing to the eye. That is why Canva is so great, especially for the small business owner, right? Because we are all on such time limits these days. And so we really want to utilize our time well. And that's why Canva is great, because we can utilize all those beautiful templates. So where can I use graphics digitally? All the places, social media, website, blog, email campaigns. Those are all places that we use graphics when they make sense. Now, here's the thing. Do we make a letterhead size flyer and we use it and post it everywhere? No. Please size appropriately. So with that being said, use the appropriate sizes. You can Google them. I will give them to you at the end, as well as Canva makes it super easy. So always be resizing and make it appropriate, because otherwise it'll cut off your image. It'll look really crappy. It'll be really confusing for people, and people will pass on by and not look at your stuff. So let's get into that. And again, we will give this at the end. Don't rush to write all the notes down. We will be posting these at the end. But sizing. Wouldn't it be a wonderful world if sizing were all same, equal? That is not the case. So Instagram, you know, you either have the option of the square or 4x5, which is slightly bigger. Facebook, you know, you've got all these other individual items. I'm not going to sit here and go through all the pixels. That would be really boring, and that would be math, and I don't math. So moving on. Basically, it just means please size appropriately. We are always happy to answer those questions, but Canva makes it super, super simple for you. So websites and blog sizing, they're all a little bit different. So, but let's talk specifically about Canva and how to resize while you're in there. So it is fantastic. You do have all of those beautiful little templates, right? So you can go through and pick which one you want. But what do I do once I've already created something in Instagram? And then I'm like, ooh, but I also need that for Facebook and for a story. Let's get into that. So when things to note while you're resizing. So sometimes when you resize, because they are a different size, you will have to go in and move things around a little bit. You will kind of have to resize within the template, but remember to try and keep it clean, easy to read and appealing to the eye. So if you're moving from, you know, Instagram to Facebook, it's going to go a little bit bigger. If you're moving to a story, just try and remember that, you know, don't utilize all the space. have some good negative space. It's okay to make things a little bit smaller than they would have been originally. So here we have an example. I've taken one of our FriYAY thumbnail for a video, and I want to make it into a Facebook post, an Instagram post, and an Instagram story. That way it looks cohesive with this template. So here you can see I am rearranging things around a little bit for Instagram, moving up those little paper cutouts that Casey loves to have on our stuff, rearranging the text. Now I'm like, oh, the logo doesn't show up good, so I've got to make it a white version of the logo. Please make sure your logos pop on your stuff. That's why we give you white and black versions. Same thing with Facebook, moving it around appropriately. See how it kind of looks like the other versions, but it's appropriately sized for this specific version. Don't be afraid to move things around. That's the whole point of it. Instagram stories, like I said, sometimes you're gonna have to make things smaller or move it slightly around. It'll still look cohesive with the rest of your templates, but you've got to kind of just play with it a little bit. So I'm just taking those little paper pieces again, moving them around, making the text accordingly. There we go. Now I have multiple templates that look the same that we can utilize on all the different platforms. Let's talk about variations of graphics. So how do I have, if I have a big event that I'm promoting for a few weeks before, please do not use the same exact image. People will think they've either seen your post and pass by, or they will get really bored with it. Always have a few variations. So as you can see here, these are a few variations. Canva makes it really simple. You can usually go in and find a few ones that look similar. In here, we have all of our branded colors, our branded fonts, and then those little paper material, different styles that Casey really likes. So we've got different variations. And then on the bottom right-hand side, it changes it up just slightly with the picture, but it still looks cohesive with the rest of the stuff. Keep it simple, keep it clean, minimal information. Kind of always just think about bullet points on a PowerPoint presentation. That's what you want to do with graphics. You really want to push people to the website or a caption, that sort of thing. Let's talk about some examples of what not to do. So here's an example, too much information, right? Way too much. So left-hand side, people, especially on social media, they're very fickle. It's gonna be quick. They're gonna go, oh, it's too much to read. I don't wanna read that. Too much information. So keep it minimal. Title, date, location. If you have a quick tagline, partnering business, giveaway, contest information, call to action. Do you need all of those on a graphic? No. Pick a few of them that are vital and important. Obviously, the title of the event, the date, and the location are probably your primary ones, and then pick a couple of the others. You can make multiple graphics with various different information on there, and that's what you should do. Push it into the comments, push people over your website with all the information. Do not put too much information on those graphics. Negative space is a good thing, I promise. Again, too much information. And then we also get into the factor that it is now on top of your image. So you can't see what the picture is and you can't read the information because it's overlapping. So make sure that everything is clear and uniform so that it's visually appealing, but also easy and quick for people to read, because you really only have a second to 3 seconds for people to really stop their scroll and look at it. Again, too much information. Even the top parts are willy wonky. I don't really know if that's a word, but yeah, we're gonna go with it. We like to make up words here at Create Captivate. We're gonna start our own dictionary. But too much information, it's not pleasing. People are gonna pass it on by. They are not gonna read this, and they're gonna keep scrolling. Any questions that anyone might have? No? Cool. No time for Q&A, but we will get more into graphics in a little while.
All right. Oh, you did the stop share. Hold up.
I got you.
We didn't practice the passing of the torch ceremony here. So next up is Michael, and Michael is going to talk to us about video. So
Is that someone trying to come in?
Is that Jen out there?
I think so, on the other end.
We adjust to this while we figure out if we have another guest coming in.
Hey, were you trying to come in? No, I just ordered some cake from the
All right, well, so switching gears a little bit from the previous presentation, I'm going to get started and talk a little bit about video. It goes hand in hand with graphics, but this kind of encompasses more during your event materials as well, because we are talking about events today. So to get started, how can videos take your event from a great in-person event to a great event at home as well? That is the main priority that your videos for events should be looking to accomplish. And so there's a couple ways that you can do that. And why should you use videos in the first place? That's kind of what we're going to look at here. And so videos will make your event pop. Correct video usage is so important. It makes you look like you know what you're doing ultimately. And that's, whenever you're having your own in-person or virtual event, you want to look like you know what you're doing. You don't want to look like you're, struggling to make everything happen and come together. And video plays a huge role in that, because there's so much you can control in video that you can't necessarily control standing at a podium talking to people as well. So how do you use your videos for events? There's a couple different ways. I'm going to talk about before the event videos, during the event videos, and events for after the videos for after the event. And so all of those play a bit of a different role in what you're trying to accomplish, but they're all going to do the same thing and kind of up the level of your event in terms of content for people to see. So to start, we'll talk about videos before the event. And so you can see a little golf, I guess that person's taking a little shot off the tee here. And so that's actually relevant to the first type of video before the event, and that's the announcement video. And so I use this example because I think, especially in our area of Hampton Roads in particular, everyone likes to have golf tournaments. And so I see a lot of announcement videos for golf tournaments that are just people sitting and standing around and saying, hey, we're going to have this tournament coming up on this day. And that's kind of their announcement video. Now, to me, that's kind of boring. I don't want to see somebody, stand like I am, look at a camera and go, hey, we're having a tournament come up this week. You should attend. That doesn't do a lot for me. I would rather see something cool like this shot here, as you can see on your screen. And then maybe fade in your logo and the date coming from the graphics of the golf tournament.
Oh my God, and the copy.
And the copy as well, because you have to name your golf tournament. And so
Beautiful.
super simple way to have an announcement video be a bit more engaging than just somebody telling you, hey, we're doing this event. It's quick, it's fun. Somebody's going to see that on their social media feed and go, oh, that's interesting. So that's one way. That's one. I think you've already hired me, so we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, maybe after this presentation, I'll have to relook at that.
Renegotiate your salary.
Yeah. But that's one way that you can do announcement videos. And so that's a big part of the video process for events, because if people don't know that your event's happening, your event's as good as nothing. Because if nobody knows that it's going on, nobody's going to tune in, nobody's going to show up. So next is an awareness video. And so this kind of goes along with more, what's the purpose of your event? So let's say you're a company that wants to sell a product and it's a brand new product on the market. You could put out a commercial, which we'll get to in a minute, or you can go with an awareness video. And so an awareness video would be something where you're showing people what the product does. A commercial is explaining why you might want to buy it, but an awareness video kind of takes that to the next step. So let's say your product is the gimbal we gave away earlier. An awareness video could be something as simple as me shooting an entire commercial on the with my phone using the gimbal, and then at the very end saying, and this commercial had nothing to do with what I wanted to share. What I wanted to show you was how good this gimbal will make your video look. That's going to raise awareness for your new product that you might be showcasing at your next event. If it's an event-specific awareness video, maybe you're running a charity event. We have a lot of nonprofit clients, and so charities will sometimes have fundraising events. And so a great way to do an awareness video for that is to have, let's say you're splitting the profits with a, let's say a hospital around. you might have their media person come on with you and discuss what the hospital is doing and why people should come to your event to donate to that hospital. That's another great way to do an awareness video. And then commercials are fairly straightforward. We've seen them for years. It's just a commercial talking about your event. That's the simplest, and I think that's the bare minimum of what you should do before an event. Is you need to at least have something on your social media. It doesn't necessarily need to be video. I think video enhances it, but as long as you're promoting like, hey, we're having this event, that's really important. And so make sure if you're going to do it in video that you have the person who's in charge of the event. If you have someone speaking at the event, get them on. If you have, let's say you're running an event that's a charity concert or a fundraiser concert, get somebody from the band to record a quick little soundbite for you and put that as your commercial. It's super important, and it kind of engages your audience a bit better than just maybe a social media post. So moving on to videos during the event. And this is where people get a little touchy with what they want to do in terms of during the event videos. So I'm a big proponent of you should always live stream your video, especially because of COVID. It's so important that people can attend your event, obviously, but not everyone's going to feel comfortable coming out to events, especially since we've been dealing with COVID for the past over a year at this point. And so I always say you should stream your event, even if it's something as simple as something like this, where we would normally just present this in person. It's really easy for us to stream this, and then all of you at home also get to experience what we're doing here. And so that's why I think streams are important. And so we're going to talk about the 3 different kinds of streams. And so the first one's probably a bit scary to some of you, and that's free streams. And that, I think, is the best way to stream your event, is to stream it on your social media. Because one, you are not going to have to pay to host it anywhere. It's going on your social media feed. It's free for you, and then it's free for your guests. And we'll talk about why that's important after I've discussed the paywall streams and TV streams. So a paywall stream is just like a free stream. It's just behind a paywall for the users. And so they have to buy a ticket. And so that's typically what I see events doing these days is they'll have paywall streams. You register, you get a link to the Zoom to join the event. And then a TV stream, that's the more traditional, let's say the news comes and streams your event live to their website or on their channel. Or let's say you've paid, Cox YourView does this around here. You've paid them and they'll stream your event to TV. And so those are the 3 kinds of streams. And I mentioned that I think free streams are the best. And the reason I say that is people want to attend your event. And I understand completely that if your event is pay to go in person and you're holding a hybrid event, you might not want to let people come to your stream for free because you're worried that that's going to subtract from the amount of people coming to your event and paying for the things at your event. And I get that completely. However, at the same time, 99% of people that are going to come watch your stream online weren't planning on coming to your event anyways. You're reaching a totally different market. And so having it for free, but with the understanding that you're not getting the same experience as you would in person, isn't going to harm your attendance in person. You're not going to lose those ticket sales or whatever it may be, or sponsor sales or sponsor views at your tents or whatever, just because you have it online. All you're going to do is reach a larger audience and get more people interested in your company and what you're doing. And we mentioned it earlier, Casey mentioned it, you might have people out in Germany or Hawaii watching. And if you're located in the 757 like we are, they're not going to come to your event. I'm sorry, but unless you're paying their plane tickets, they're probably not going to show up. So having a free stream means that they can still engage with you as a business. And so let's say they engage with you as a business and watch the stream. And let's just say they're doing it at home and somebody else walks in the room and sees the stream and goes, oh, that's a cool, live stream for your event. What company is running this? What's the event? You've now engaged somebody else that you wouldn't have reached by having that free stream. Whereas paywall stream, me personally, I typically don't like to pay for things that I'm watching in my house. I'll pay for subscriptions to things, but if it's a one-time event, I might be a little hesitant. And a great example of this is sporting events now. So whenever a live stream for a sporting event happens, typically you pay for it. But nowadays people don't want to pay for that and they'd rather just see the highlights afterwards. You can see that with the Olympics currently, is a lot of people aren't paying for NBC subscriptions to watch the Olympics because they don't want to pay for it. And so you're seeing a lot of sports entities now do free streams, and they're not losing money doing that. They're gaining new audience members, and that can apply to any business as well. And so that's kind of my philosophy on videos during the event. But I think you should also be recording your event with cameras throughout the entirety of your event, specifically so that you have something. If this, oops, there we go. Whoop, that went the wrong way. Interesting. Specifically so you can have content for after the event. And this is kind of where you really need to hit it home, because if you don't have good content from your event, then you don't have a way to market for your next event. Because if you can't prove that your events are successful, you're not going to have many events, unfortunately. And so there's several different ways that you can utilize video after your event. I think the best one is to have a recap video with a sponsored segment. So sponsors are always tough, especially when you have, big money deals involved. So there's a lot of events around the 757 that'll have presenting sponsors, and they want X, Y, and Z things. And I think something that's really easy that you should always give them is the opportunity to be the sponsor of your recap video, because that's going to get the most engagement out of the event aside from the event as a whole. And so if you post something, on YouTube or Facebook or whatever feed you're using, that's, a minute 30, just going over what happened at the event. Maybe you interviewed somebody at the event and, you kind of put something together. Maybe it's just a highlight reel of the event with the sponsor's logo as well. One, you're going to get better sponsorship agreements because people love to see that. And two, you're going to get a lot of engagement on that video. The next type of video that you can have after the event is still a recap video, but this time with a call to action. And so this is mostly for fundraising events. And so typically, or if you're trying to sell a product at an event, so typically you'll have a recap video, and at the end of it, you'll say, let's say you're donating to a cause. You'll say, hey, our goal was to reach $30,000. We made this much from the event, but that's not all we can do. There's still more work to be done, or whatever it may be. And then throw the link to, the donation page, or if you're selling a product, throw the link to the product and say, hey, we have a discount for you. If you are doing this within 3 days of us posting this video, you get 20% off your product. And then put the link to the product in the post and on the screen. That's a great way to get engagement and keep your event kind of fresh in people's minds as well. Because if you have that call to action at the end, and let's say you link it back to your product page, you link it to the product page, and then they're getting a discount because of the event. They'll go, ooh, next time there's an event for this company, I'm going to go attend because I might get another discount on something that I want. And that's really important for your company and your retention of new customers and clients. And then lastly is what the picture shows. And it's super simple. It's being featured on local news. And so I think that's something that especially smaller businesses should utilize more of, is all it takes is an email to the news desk at whatever the local news station of your area is. And the worst that's going to happen is they don't show up and they don't feature your content, and you're no better off than you were by not emailing. But if they do show up, now you're getting a 2-minute, basically an advertisement for your company and your event on TV. And I can tell you from experience, plenty of people still watch the TV every now and again. And so when you're on the local news, let's say we'll use Casey's business, for example, Paul Snickety Pets. When they opened, I believe they were interviewed by one of the local news agencies, and people saw that. And you're never going to know how that affects your sales bottom line, except Casey's telling me no.
I still see it's one of the top referring websites to our website.
There you go.
The news article page.
There you go. So apparently you can tell, but
Oh, I'm tracking everything.
There you go. The bottom line though is all that took was Casey to be interviewed for a couple minutes of her day, and then someone walks around the store and videos the store and then has a story out of it. And that takes, if it's for your event, you're not even going to have to do anything. You're going to be interviewed for about 10 minutes, and then people are going to go around your event and film your event, and then you'll be on the TV. And it's basically a sponsored ad that you got for free. All you have to do is email somebody. So I always recommend doing that. And so that's the big 3 ways that you can utilize video after your event. And of course, there's more ways that you can utilize video before, during, and after. But those are just some of the kind of key points there. And so this is where all the people watching online and in person get to just think to themselves, how can you use video for your events? What's going to work for you? There's different answers to this. So, you know, if you're doing a fundraiser golf tournament, as I mentioned earlier, video is going to be very different than if you're trying to sell a product, but they're both going to be important and they're both going to have an impact on attendance at your event and then retention after your event. And that's going to be the key to kind of making your event successful. And so there we go. Well, I skipped the questions page, but I don't think we have time for questions anyways.
We're gonna move right along. Thank you, Michael. All right, you guys. Next up on our agenda is a video from Allison, our resident motion graphics artist. So she is going to talk about that for a minute. Make sure that we're good on sound. Oh, I can't hear her for some reason. Sounds up. Is it because I'm plugged into the TV?
Do you want me to see on the live?
Bear with me, guys. Here we go. I'm gonna start that over one second.
I'm so excited to be a part of it this week. My name is Allison, and I am the motion graphics artist with Create Captivate. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about using GIFs and animation to increase event awareness. So in these COVID times, we've been trained to stay home. And even now that we have the vaccine, people are a little apprehensive to get out. So how do we get people to come out of hiding and come to our events? With the internet being everywhere, I will argue that GIFs and animation are an excellent place to start with our advertisements. And through this presentation, I'm going to tell you why. So this brings us to our first question. What is it about GIFs that makes them so effective? What would make them great for advertising and getting people to come to our events? To do that, I'm going to tell you what makes them so great. GIFs are quick. You can watch the same one 20 times or 20 different ones in the same amount of time. They're also attention grabbing. There is so much movement in a tiny little video, and it's repeated over and over in a loop. You watch it, and then you watch it again, and then you watch it again. They have a small file size. If files were tangible, these could fit in your pocket, even the pockets of girl jeans. They are accessible to everyone. You all could probably go on your phone right now and find about hundreds of GIFs. Or you could find a site like Giphy and put it into a presentation or an animation. You can make it yourself, or you can find one online. Also, GIFs are friendly across all platforms. You could make one GIF and use it on all your social media platforms for the same advertisement. So let's talk a little bit about what some people use GIFs for. What are some uses? And trust me, there are a lot. One of those top uses is product display. So we see restaurants do this all the time with new menu items to show off their delicious food and drinks. And if they just mention, we have a new burger, you might not be as interested than if you see that burger. Also, brand personality. You can always advertise your own products and services, but if we can get people to love you and your company and your brand along the way, then something's going well. Tutorials. GIFs can show a quick process over and over. So if you need help navigating a website, it can show you click here, and click here. Customer service places are often using GIFs in their service now, just to help streamline the amount of people that need help. Storytelling. People love stories. And if you make a GIF that tells a story, maybe about your event, you can forge a connection with your audience and dispense information all while being entertaining. You can also use it to animate data. Nobody wants to sit there and study a graph, but an animated graph is about as close as you can get to tricking your brain into reading it and even liking it. It can also be used to highlight a call to action. So we've all seen ads for our favorite stores and brands that will highlight a big sale that's going on, Memorial Day sale, Labor Day sale, summer sale. And they'll have this fun animated GIF with these tiny little animations in it, just something to grab our attention. And then there'll be a big button at the bottom that says, click here to save, click here to see our deals. All right, and these GIFs can be used successfully in almost every aspect of marketing. And what makes them so effective in all these different uses is 3 key features. And those are movement, color, and repetition. So movement is going to draw you in. We are all like a bunch of magpies, and movement is our shiny thing. As soon as we see it, our eyes are locked on, we're flying towards it. Color. We could attach an emotion to just about every color of the rainbow. And when used effectively, color in a GIF will evoke an emotional response from your viewer. It could be something as simple as using a bright pink to make them feel happy. They're happy looking at a color, they might be a little bit happier about the event. And repetition. Because GIFs are so fast and they play in a loop, they can reinforce information many times. And if you're watching that same GIF 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, you're gonna get that information 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And don't tell me those bouncing balls aren't just as entertaining now as they were when we first opened this slide. So what are our key takeaways from this? To gain event awareness, we need to simplify, engage, and entertain. To simplify, we need to keep that message short and sweet so that viewers have time to read it and process it in the amount of time it takes to view that GIF. We're having an event, here's the time and here's the place. We need to engage. We need to get them to look at it and stay long enough to watch through it and get all that information. So using tools like movement, we will draw in the viewers and they will like the shiny things. And we need to entertain. GIFs can look pretty, they can tell a story, and using color as a tool can evoke emotion from viewers to keep them engaged and entertained. Altogether, GIFs do one major thing for us. Animated GIFs will grab customer attention and keep it. In this fast-moving world that we live in, animated GIFs are there to grab people's attention just long enough for you to drop your 2 cents in, throw that information out there, and let them know what's happening, where your event is, and when it is. We don't have much time and we don't have much space, but animated GIFs are a great start to advertising for our events. Thank you all so much for your time, and I hope you learned a lot about GIFs today. Bye.
All right. so thankful that Allison would take the time to pre-record that video for us.
Give us that gray pocket motion.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she had some good ones. So we're gonna go ahead and move right into podcasts with Megan, and Megan also pre-recorded a video for us. So I'll let her take it away.
Hi, I'm Megan, the administrative assistant and podcast consultant at Create Captivate. I'm sorry I'm unable to join you live today, but I hope you find value in my presentation. My podcast experience stems from hosting my own podcast, the Inspired Women podcast, since January of 2017, as well as being a guest on many other podcasts. Podcasts can be useful platforms to market your event, but there are a few things you need to know first. First, according to Forbes, 43% of US men and 39% of women listen to podcasts. This doesn't even account for the millions of people worldwide who also listen. My podcast is actually listened in 20 different countries, which is kind of wild. So this is a few things I'm going to go over today. Perks of podcast hosting, perks of podcast guesting, need to knows about podcast hosting, and need to knows about podcast guesting. Podcast hosting perks. I mean, of course, for me, I think hosting is the best, but that's because I've been doing it for so long. Your podcast is yours to do what you want and say what you want within reason. All the platforms like iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, they all have rules about what can be played on their podcasts. Obviously, it's not anything too wild. It's more like hate speech, stuff like that. So you can choose the topic. You can say what you want for your podcast. You can make it about whatever you would like, of course, within reason. It's also very flexible. You have flexibility of what and when you can share, which is really great. You get to choose how often and what day and all of the great things. There's so much flexibility with podcasting. And marketing can occur over the long period of time. This is long-term marketing. If you have a business and you are doing a podcast, you're marketing yourself and your business, and you can add your own advertising in there. So podcast guesting, which is also a great way to get your message out, but without all the work of hosting a podcast. 3 of the perks are you have access to a wider audience. So when you have your own podcast, you just have access to your own audience, but when you're a guest, you have access to the audience of that podcaster as well. The next thing is you can market on multiple podcasts. This is different than hosting your own podcast, because your own podcast, you're just marketing on your own podcast. But for podcast guesting, you can be a guest on many podcasts. And it's not as time consuming as podcast hosting. The thing you need to know about podcast hosting is it takes time to build an audience. Even if you already have a platform with tons of followers, it's going to take a while to convert those followers over to listening to a podcast. Also, to add more listeners to your podcast, it's going to take time. Over advertising can turn listeners away. Yes, I know we've all listened to podcasts where they have like 10,000 advertisers on it. However, you got to think those podcasts have hundreds of thousands of listeners. Possibly a million, who knows, but a lot. And so they provide a value and have gotten to that point where they can do that. But when you're first starting out as a podcaster, over advertising can absolutely be a turnoff. You do not want to turn off your audience. Podcasting is easy to do, but it is time consuming unless you're able to outsource this to somebody else. You've got to think first, you need to take the time to set up your podcast, the website, the hosting, all of the things. But then once you get into the groove, you're recording the episode, you're editing the episode, you're creating the graphics to go with your episode, and you're sharing it on social media. It takes time. My episodes are 45 minutes long, and I've been doing this for many, many years. So in the very beginning, it took a lot longer. But now it takes approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours per episode every single week, because I air episodes every week. Need to know about guesting. The great thing about guesting is you can highlight who you are. You can pick podcasts who highlight who you are, but don't niche down too much. A lot of business people think that they have to be guests on business podcasts. But you have to understand there are other podcasts and other options that give you access to an audience who may need your services. You got to think about, where are your ideal customers listening? For example, my podcast is sharing stories from women and highlighting topics that are relevant to today. So getting access to women would be a great place to start. And it's not a business podcast, though, which it turns away a lot of business people because they think, oh, well, since I can't talk about my business, this isn't going to help. But it really will. So how to find podcasts, whether local or not, is asking on social media in Facebook groups. This is especially if you have a local Facebook group, that'd be a great place to start. You want to be highlighted in a local way. If your event is local, that's where you want to look. But also, like, ask in general, like, I'm looking for podcasts that talk about this, or I'm looking for podcasts that, you know, highlight women, whatever, you know, yours is about. I know we don't have all women in the audience, but I mean, I just think women because that's what my podcast is about. So you can also do this by searching on podcast apps like Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, all of the different places. But you can also use the trusty old Google search. You want to look for your expertise or who you are. Like I said, what your business is about, or who you are, what are you about? Looking for podcasts, like I said, podcasts for women, marketing podcasts, like the, you know, Create Captivate. We would want our people to be on a marketing podcast, whatever it might be. I mean, Casey owns Posnickety, and that has to do with pets. Wouldn't it be great for her to be on a podcast that talks about your pets? You can look for LGBTQ plus podcasts, Norfolk podcasts, you know, Virginia Beach podcast, Hampton Roads podcast. You just put in the city name if you are looking for local. You want quality over quantity. That means you don't want to just be randomly pitching a ton of podcasts. You want podcasts that relate to you. It's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form if you're on a podcast you don't align with. And plus, you kind of want to know if they're talking about things that are totally not, that you're totally not about, because then it gives their audience the idea that you actually support their ideas. Some podcasts book months in advance. So you need to take this into consideration when you're pitching, especially if you want to highlight one of your events. For me personally, at one point in time, I was booking 6 months in advance. Now we're down to like 4 months. In the very beginning of the year, I get like a ton of applications. And then towards the end of the year, they kind of die off a little bit. But yes, take this in consideration. And a lot of podcasters are flexible. If you say, hey, when you apply, if you say, hey, I really would like to be featured during this month because this is going on, you know, some of them will be very reasonable and be like, oh yeah, no problem, as long as it is with plenty of time. You want to get familiar with the podcast you want to be a guest on. Familiarity is so important. I say this as a podcaster because this is one of my pet peeves. You want to listen to a few episodes. First, again, to get to know the podcaster. Do you like their style? Do you like who they are? Do you like what they talk about? You want to follow them on social media for the same reason, but also because sometimes podcasters will post on social media when they're looking for guests for certain topics. I know I do. And check out their website, because their website is going to tell you all about them, but also tell you how you can become a guest. So pitch the way they want you to. Again, back to my pet peeves. I absolutely cringe every time somebody doesn't do it the way that I see on my podcast, which is via application. When somebody emails me or anything like that, I cringe. And then I say, hey, if you would like to be a guest, please apply at this spot. But it's just a waste of time for me to do that. You want the podcast to be happy about you applying to be a guest. So, you know, follow the way they want you to pitch. So check out their website for instructions. Email if there is no instructions at all on their website. Do not message on social media unless there is no other option you can find. Social media is very, it's not very formal. It's very informal, and it sometimes, you know, it can be kind of a bit much. So what are your next steps? What can you do now? You can listen to our podcast FriYAYs. I've done several podcast FriYAYs, both on hosting and on guesting, and these can be found on Facebook under our playlist, our FriYAY playlist on our Facebook page, but also on YouTube. We have a FriYAY, playlist. So wherever works best for you. If you have any questions for me, you can submit those via the type form that Casey will be sharing out. Start brainstorming for starting a podcast if that interests you. You want to think of a name, you want to think of topics, you want to think of how often. And I recommend at a minimum every other week, if not every week. But how long do you want it to be? Are you going to have guests? Is it just going to be you? So many things to brainstorm. And or if you're looking for being a guest, a potential guest, look for guest opportunities, listen to some podcasts, ask those questions that I mentioned. So takeaways, podcasts are an easy way to market your business and event. Podcast hosting allows you flexibility to discuss what you want, and podcast guesting helps you access a wider audience. Podcasts are a great way to market your event. If you do it right, they're easy to listen to, easy to share, and I highly suggest considering marketing yourself and your events, your business on podcasts. Thank you so much.
Yay, awesome. So I hope you all found that very helpful. We are going to take a quick break because as I mentioned earlier, I know we can all get a little presentation fatigue or a little Zoom fatigue. So what I'm about to do is give away our next prize. What? Get excited. Now, if you are familiar with our team, you know that we love our ring lights around here. So we love ring lights. We highly recommend that our clients get them if they're starting to do any kind of event or video work. So I have a little ring light here that we are going to give away. Now, if I can pull up our wheel of names again, and we will see who the lucky winner of this awesome prize is. And so, here we go. If I get Loretto again, I'll just, we'll just do another one. Maybe I should have taken her off. Okay, we're gonna remove, Loretto, you can't win 2 prizes. Why are you so lucky? All right, we're gonna spin again because Loretto won our gimbal that we gave away earlier. So we'll do one more spin here, see if we can come up with a new winner. Oh, Martha! All right, Martha Davenport, you get a ring light. Martha is the event coordinator at the DeWitt Cottage, the Wildfowl Heritage Museum at the Virginia Beach ocean front. And I'm very excited that she won this light. We'll get to
Me too.
Maybe she can use it for that, Kara. Maybe she can use it for that exciting interview she's about to do.
That and
Yeah.
a nice little one-on-one.
Yeah. All right, you guys. So we're gonna keep rolling along here now that we've had a little break for a prize. And we've got Kara Alexander back up at the podium
to talk about social media. Whew, yeah, me and my baby bump, we're coming up here. Okay. slow, but rolling. All right. Hello again. If you missed earlier and you're just tuning in, I am Kara Alexander. I am our graphic designer and content creator. So let's talk about stopping the scroll on social media. How do you get people to stop and look at your stuff? Look at that. Look at that nice grid in the picture. Casey's beautiful model hands.
I did really used to be a hand model.
Oh, well, there you go. She used to be a hand model. You learn something every day. I've got to know, do you make good money doing that?
It was like an extra. I worked at an e-commerce shop and they used my hands. I got like discounts on clothes.
Nice. Okay. So stopping the scroll, promotion time frame, template variation amounts, and platform specifics. Those are all the things we are going to cover in this little presentation of mine. So how do you get people to stop and look at your post in particular, especially with the over inundation of so many different things being put out there these days? What should you post? Where should you post? How will social media help your event? So let's talk about promotion time. This is probably the most underrated and underthought process in event planning. Promotion time for your event is so vital, and it's one of the easiest things to do if you are thinking about it ahead of time. So really promoting your event ahead of time will give you extra time to promote it. How many times can I say that in a sentence? But push it other places, give people an opportunity to see it. Some people, it takes multiple times before they want to purchase a ticket, kind of like they would a product. It takes multiple times. So in-person and virtual events, honestly, these are averages, but sometimes a month in advance is really great. Slowly start trickling it out as it gets closer to the event, push it a little bit more, because also you don't want to over-inundate people with your event. Then that can have kind of the opposite effect of like, well, now I really don't want to go to your event because all I've seen is this, and I've seen it every day and 5 times a day. And that's when you get people to hide your stuff. We don't want that. So the larger the event, the longer the process of promotion time that you want. So like every time they do something in the water, they're promoting that thing like 6 months, 3 months in advance because it's such a big event. Retail events, grand openings, month or longer, especially because you want to try and get multiple people there for your grand opening. You want to let people know if you're doing a contest or a sale. Try and get, local officials there, the local associations a part of it, all that kind of thing. That takes time and promotion, right? But normal retail events, like if you've got a sale or some kind of smaller event, a week or two sometimes will suffice. If you're like Board and Brush, they put their stuff up a month or two in advance. That way they make sure people have time on their calendars to book events. But I mean, if you're a retail store and you're doing a clearance event where you might have like mimosas or something, a good week or two is good. New product line launch. A lot of times this does not happen for smaller companies. If you're a smaller company, set yourself up for success, set yourself aside. Launching products really needs to be honestly a month or two of process in advance, 2 weeks at least, but honestly a good month of teasers. Make sure you have some time for pre-sales, whether it's a week before it launches or even 2 weeks. Having those pre-sales also kind of makes it seem a little bit more exclusive and gives it more time to promote. Contests for events. If you're a business, make sure you're promoting a month before the application date, and don't try as hard as you can. I know things happen, but try not to change around your application due date. And if you do, make sure that you promote and post that you've changed that date. I did see someone recently, they changed an application date and they didn't let people know that that had changed and upped by a week. And therefore they lost a lot of people because people, are busy lives. They usually wait till the last minute. And so a lot of people miss the deadline. Retail and food, a week. Nothing too crazy for contests. If you do a lot longer than a week, sometimes for food and retail, people will forget or they'll get too over inundated. Template variation amounts. So the longer the promotion, the more stuff you're going to be posting, right? Well, the more templates and variations of those posts that you're going to want to do. We don't want to put the same thing over and over again on our social media. We want it to look different. If we have it looking the same, people are going to pass on by. They're going to think they've already seen this specific one. And we want people looking at all of your stuff. We want them stopping the scroll. I feel like it just needs to be like a cheer. Like we all cheer at the same time. Stop the scroll. What did I say? Stop the scroll. Yeah. All right. So, a different look or variation, slight differences for each post. So we really want to make sure, I know this takes more time and energy, but that's why Canva exists, and that's why it's amazing, because then that way you're able to quickly have those variations without, you know, killing your time and your brain. All right, platform specifics. So these are just some examples of some things that you can be posting content-wise to get people to stop and look at your event that you're promoting. So let's talk about Instagram before. You know, it goes a little bit into what Michael said with, you know, taking great video of past events or thinking about promotional video that you can do. Video and pictures and graphics for social media are fantastic. People really like to see a mix of content. So instead of just posting a bunch of graphics or just posting pictures or just videos, we want to make sure that we are changing things up, doing multiple different types of content. That way we're engaging the same people. They see it over and over again. They're like, okay, at this point, I've seen this 5 times. It's God's way of telling me, or the universe's way of telling me, or the butterflies and the bees way of telling me that it's time to book this event. So obviously posting past event content is fantastic, right? Because you can show people how fun it was, what the event kind of was like. It's kind of like when people go to a restaurant and they want to look at pictures of the food. People want to see what that event was like. So on stories, same thing. Push people to those call to actions, push them to register, promote, you know, ticket sales, get them over to the website, all of those kind of things. Information about the event, past years at events, if applicable, you know, it might be the first year. People love, especially in stories, to see behind the scenes from past year, behind the scenes prep on what it takes to get the event ready, or what you're doing to it kind of also is a promotion. Like if you're on your way to meet with a potential sponsor, talking about that excitement, talking about who you're meeting with. People really love those sort of things. And then save them to a highlight bubble. That way people, when they go to your page, they can look right through those highlight reels and see all of those stories that, you know, now have, I don't want to say died, but, you know, they're past due on 24 hours. And so that way you get to keep them alive. During, sometimes we get asked, well, if I promoted my event the whole time, do I really need to do it during? Yes, please do. What can you do? Well, posting the morning of is a great way. Trying to get those last minute people in, or those people who just aren't quite sure, like, oh, do I really want to go today? Do I really want to do that? Add that into my schedule. So really trying to promote that last minute effort of, you know, here's what's going down for the day. Here's some information about the event. If you've got a parking situation, you know, being like, hey, here's where parking is. Here's the map of the event. Here's what you can expect from the itinerary. Here are the sponsors and the giveaways and the gifts and the blah, 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 blah. Night. Recapping the event from the day, you know, posting, thank you so much to all of our attendees. This was fantastic. This was amazing. If your event ends at like 2 a.m., post the next morning. Do it in the morning and then have a nice recap. Stories, same thing, especially during the event. Be promoting that event. You might blow up people's stories, but people are interested, trust me. So throughout the day of the event, pushing people to still come and show up. Behind the scenes, ask, you know, bystanders if they don't mind being on a video, asking them what's their favorite part of the event. Do they really like it? Taking a poll or asking questionnaires, all of those sorts of things. Again, save it to that highlight bubble. After, you know, post the recap of the event, thank the attendees, the sponsors, the speakers, post testimonials and reviews from the event. Those are really helpful and important. Same thing with stories, making sure that you kind of take those polls, ask those questions. People like to share their opinions of what they thought and what they liked and didn't like from your event. It's a great way to gain content, but it's also great insight for you to know. If you're a nonprofit and you've been trying to hit a goal of what you're trying to do, post those numbers of hey, our goal was this and we hit this, yay. So doing that sort of thing. Facebook, very similar, except within Facebook, you can create a Facebook event. Share that event, push that to Facebook groups, push your content and your posts and your videos and all those sorts of things with upcoming sponsors and speakers into different groups. As well as remember, those Facebook pages are also like regular pages. Be posting in there as well. After recapping the event, post a photo album. Don't just do a post with pictures, do a photo album. That way people can go in and tag themselves if you've taken content of them. People can share it, all those sorts of things, and people can look back a year from now and see the event. During, same thing, post the itinerary, speakers and sponsors, all of that kind of stuff. Do a Facebook Live. Now, a lot of people are nervous about the lives. Come on, people, we can do it too. I'm not a super professional. I don't do video all the time like Michael, but you know, we're out here doing it. Why? Because it's important to do it. People love lives. You know, it's a great way for people who have questions about the event or want to share comments. You can show it in real time, which people love. And, you know, all those sorts of things. Do a live before the event, do it during the event and after. Let's recap. Let's thank people for coming, ask questions about what they liked and didn't like, all those sorts of things. TikTok. So I wouldn't necessarily promote the during on TikTok. You can do a live. If you have a big following on TikTok, then please by all means be posting during your event. Maybe even think about doing a live. But a lot of our businesses are still pretty much focused on Facebook and TikTok. Or Facebook and Instagram. But for TikTok, they're great for promotional video, recap of last year, behind the scenes prep, behind the scenes of this year, as well as what's great about TikTok is you can easily respond to comments with a video. So also pushing out extra content with that, even if it's 15 seconds with someone going, hey, is your event going to have free water? Then you respond back and you go, yes, our event will definitely have free water. There's an extra video. Any kind of news, anything like that. Same with the recap of the after, behind the scenes, thank you attendees. A lot of this is stuff that you can do on all platforms and just reshare and resize to and push to all the other places. LinkedIn. Let's talk about LinkedIn because it's a little bit different. It's obviously more business to business based, professional to professional. You can create LinkedIn events. You can share the event to different pages you follow, as well as direct message them and share them on your page. Be posting polls, images, videos, documents to the event feed. Do a live. Utilize. This was one that, you know, not a lot of people know about, but you can actually utilize your own profiles, headline, summary, portfolio, and project boxes, as well as your business pages to promote the event. You can promote speakers and sponsors, make sure you're cross promoting, and same thing with the after event. But what's great is also after on LinkedIn, on those profile project sections, you can keep the section about your event. So therefore it stays on your page. People can look at it for a little bit after, or maybe you can keep it so that if you're going to do another event 6 months from now, you can have that on your page and be telling people, hey, it's going to happen again. Google My Business. So Google My Business, under your profile, you can do posts. You can also publish an event as a post where you can input the start date and the end date, be adding, you know, promotional pictures and graphics to your business profile. Afterwards, please be adding some pictures from your event because, you know, when people are looking at your company, they love to see pictures on Google. It's like Yelp. People like to see all of the pictures. So therefore, you've already got pictures. You've got pictures to promote from your event. And thank people. Do a little graphic. You can post it on there and say, thank you so much for coming. People really appreciate those thank yous. And they're so underutilized and underdone in pretty much the majority of events and stuff. Because again, life gets crazy and life gets busy. But that is that.
That is that indeed. What an abrupt ending, but thanks, Kara.
I don't know what to say at the end. My mind is wandering.
All right, so our last and final presentation is going to be from Ms. Kara McCann talking about websites and emails, but I'm going to do another giveaway. So I teased it earlier, and we do have a generous donation from the Sometimes Gallery, which if you can see behind me, we are here at BizConnect Hampton Roads, which doubles as the Sometimes Gallery. So BizConnect Hampton Roads, I'm going to give a shout out to Laura Henderson. Yay, Laura. She's chuckling. She's chuckling back in her office right now. But she has a local networking organization with over 400 members. And we do all kinds of fun attend events in person, online, all of that. And she was very gracious in allowing us to use this space. So the space here, BizConnect, also doubles as the Sometimes Gallery. She is also a wildly talented artist and painter. So Laura has the Sometimes Gallery that is only open sometimes. You have to check social media to know when it's going to be open. But she has generously donated the winner's choice of some really pretty little paintings. And I can't carry my
Is it the square?
the squares on the wall there. You have your choice. There's a bunch of different little pieces of artwork, but this is an example. Thank you. So this is one of the paintings that's up for grabs. And I have a couple back here if I can reach. All right, that wasn't my best angle, but so all kinds of really cool artwork that we're gonna go ahead and give away to one lucky winner. So I'll pull up my little magic wheel of names again. And I'm gonna take a spin here and see who won some artwork from the Sometimes Gallery artist Laura Henderson. Some Laura original, which everybody needs in their home or office. I love mine. I'm like, I want more. I want all of them, basically. All right. Brianna Jackson is the winner of the artwork from the Sometimes Gallery. Brianna, I know, works at CHKD Hospital, the local children's hospital. So thank you, Brianna, for hanging out with us today, and congratulations on winning that artwork. All right, this is your last presentation, and then we're gonna have Q&A, so get those questions ready, guys. You can put us on the spot here in a minute, but I'm gonna let Karen McCann. Ow, I just hit my foot.
Well, this wheel is kind of attacky right now, so I'm just
Oh, I
gonna.
like your shoes.
Thanks. Those are cute. They're very comfortable. You know, we got to discuss important things. I'm not as short as these little petite ladies around me, so there we go. Okay, so if you're just chiming in, I am Kara McCann, the website designer and copywriter here at Create Captivate. I talked about copy earlier, so now we're going to talk about marketing your event with your website and your emails. So the things I want to focus on is blogging, not just for bloggers. Any company can blog. Using event calendars and event pages. We're also going to talk about some local like event promotion type websites in that section. And then utilizing your email list. If you're not compiling an email list, start as soon as we're done because that is going to be such a powerful way to market your events. So those are kind of the nuts and bolts of ideally how to use stuff that you already have to leverage your marketing. So blogging, you can blog before an event and after an event. Blogging before, this is a great opportunity to introduce your event, to tease it. You know, you can let out little increasing amounts of information as you go along. So there can just be like a, you know, save the date when it's first announced, or you could even do like a coming soon, you know, something exciting is coming in September. And then you say, you know, in September, we're going to be doing this event. Stay tuned for more details. You're probably going to get some blog subscribers because of it. That is shareable content on all of your social media channels. So you are, you know, Kara talked a lot about repurposing content. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time that you want to talk about something. You know, you can just use the same content and maybe change the style a little bit and use it over and over and over again. And one of the great things about blogging is that you are also going to be searchable in Google that way. So when you post a blog, Google's going to, you know, crawl your site and find new, fresh content, and they're going to find all those little teasers. And if you're using keywords like your city name or, you know, like music festival or something like that, when people search those terms, they're going to find your blog about that post, which also echoes back to what we talked about with event names, which is that you really want to be able to name them in a way where it's very clear what your event is about. That's going to come in handy when you're doing just spit all over your computer. Woo! Well, for the audience here, little something extra. Anyways, so blogging in this way.
Reel from today.
What's that?
We gotta make a blooper reel.
We
from
really do.
today.
Yeah, it's anytime we get together, just so everyone knows, this is us. This is it, man. Like this is our authentic selves. Right? This is it. We are nothing if not authentic. Anyways, I digress. So having those great event names are going to make your blogs more powerful, because then Google's going to find keywords that it likes, and it's going to read all that information. It's going to help your search rankings when people are looking for your content or any content that uses those words. So blogging before your event is going to be great. Again, just like Kara mentioned, starting like a month before, probably minimum, as soon as you know that there's going to be an event and you know when it's going to be, I think that's pretty much a great time to start at least teasing it. And that way, you're not pushing something out every day or every week, but maybe just monthly, you're just giving a little bit more information and a little bit more information. If you only know about it a few weeks in advance, you're fine, still do it. But if you can give it some more time, then great. So you can also use your blogs to point people to event pages. So your blog, when you're blogging about something, it's not necessarily the same as having a dedicated page on your website that is for that event. So you can have a post, which is a blog, and then you can also have a page that's going to be about that event. So on your blog pages, they kind of get filtered down. Normally when you're looking at a blog, it gets filtered down, or information gets pushed down based on what's newest, unless you're constantly pinning posts to the top. But you're just kind of trickling out information, but you can always point them back to the actual static page that's going to have all of the registration information, ticket sales, all of that great stuff that people are going to need to actually become more involved with the event. So blogging before, super helpful. Blogging after, it's going to be a lot of the same ways that Michael talked about when we were talking about video. So you can do a recap of your event. You can even put like a little clip of your video near the top of your blog. You don't want to have a huge video on there, but you can embed from YouTube and stuff, and that's really easy to do. And you can just have a little clip and then a little synopsis of what happened there. You can thank attendees, vendors, sponsors. Again, this is a great opportunity to tag people, cross share. They can thank your business, you can thank theirs, and it gives you guys that kind of interconnected partnership. And that's always great to have, is to have other businesses that each other well, you've done things together, and you kind of build up that sense of like business community. Create FOMO, right? Like we always hate seeing things like, I know, like I've got 2 kids, so I miss out on some stuff. And there's some stuff that I see where I'm like, I love them, but yeah, it was my choice. So I'm kind of throwing myself under the bus, but I have two voluntary children. As a busy parent, as someone who like works, I've got a military husband, I miss out on stuff. And I know when I see like recaps or events that happen or videos and stuff, I'm like, man, that looks like it would have been so much fun. I wish I could have gone to that. You want to make that happen for anybody who didn't come to your event. Maybe there's someone who only attended the virtual portion who sees a clip of what it was like to be there in person, and they're like, oh man, I should attend live next time. Cool. You just got yourself a ticket sale for the future, so you want to create that FOMO. And again, repurpose the social media content. This is again, information that you can push out. You did those teasers ahead of time. Afterwards, take that video footage, take those blog posts, and repurpose it as social media content to just say, hey, this is what happened. This is what our last event was like. We've got this other one coming up. Don't you want to be in it? Don't you want to be involved? So blogging, extremely powerful. And again, blogging after is also going to get you that new content that's going to make your search very Google friendly. And that's what we want. Event calendars. So this is a great way, especially if you're a business that has multiple events going on, or if you're kind of like an aggregate business, like the Ghent Business Association is someone that I can think of that actually this is their calendar. They have member events for anyone who's part of the GBA. So their members want to be able to go through and say, well, what event is happening in this month on this day? Or we also just have a whole list of their events that you can see out month by month, everything that's going on. But an event calendar is a really powerful and really easy way to organize all of that content. You have to like manually input the event details, but then it's just searchable. So a couple of our favorite ones for WordPress, the Modern Events Calendar is the one that you see pictured here. There's also the Events Calendar. I know it's like very straightforward, but that's literally what it's called. Those are definitely two of the most popular ones that are used regularly, that have just really high reviews and really great functionality. They're updated regularly. And if you're on Squarespace, we generally are very WordPress happy over here, but we do work with Squarespace. Squarespace. We work with Squarespace. And one of their most popular ones is the Elf Site Event Calendar. I don't really have a lot of experience with that one. I've read good things, but so if you're on Squarespace and you need to have an event calendar, we could absolutely, you know, work with that. And, you know, anytime, like if you have questions about any of that, that's always stuff that we can help you answer as well. Like if you're just like, hey, I have an event coming up, I'm not sure what the best plugin is, just ask. Like we're helpful people around here, you know, we're helpful to, good Lord, happy to help answer any of the questions you might have about marketing. So those are some of our favorite event calendars. And again, it's another way for people to find your information, and it's another place that you're putting that content, again, for Mr. Google to go through and search and find it, and to make those search engines happy. Event pages. So we talked about how you're going to have those posts where you're posting like your blog updates and everything with kind of that trickle in of information, but your event page is going to be where everything about the event is posted. So you're going to, as you come along, again, it can be just like a teaser at first, but then instead of doing a whole new page every time that you have more content, you're just adding to that existing one. So pictures, details, copy, you know, copy. We want to have great, captivating copy, so that you can really keep your audience engaged, make your events sound interesting. Like even if you have a kind of like drier topic, like if you're like a data management conference or like a banking conference, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be this super glamorous, exciting event for your copy to be interesting. So, you know, find a way to just at least make it captivating to your audience in some way. Use like whatever words you know are going to make them go, oh yeah, I'm super interested in that. You know, just use like industry friendly words that you know people are going to latch onto, and make it engaging, make it captivating. And these event pages, they can be functional for a single event. So if you just have like a one-off event that's happening one time and you just need just the information for that specific event, or you can have an event page like WordCamp is a really popular, like WordPress learning all the kinds of things. They do a virtual and an in-person, and they have events all across the country on different days, you know, different like virtual links, all of that. So they have one event page, but from that event page, you can have multiple iterations of that same event. So whether they're looking to attend it in California or Colorado or New York, you know, it doesn't matter. They can go there to that one central location and find all of the information that they need. Local calendars, a lot of these you can find online. Actually, all of these ones you can find online. These are just local calendars where you can go and take advantage of having somewhere to post your event to other local calendar websites. So rather than keeping everything on your website, your information is also in these other places. So people can go, three of the ones that we're big fans of, Startwheel, Eventful, CovaBiz, those are three places where we always share events that are happening, so that people are not only dependent on finding us through us, they're also able to find events on these other categories or on these other sites. So look in your area, there might be some. Obviously CovaBiz is kind of specific to coastal Virginia. So go on there and see what else is maybe pertinent to your area if you're not local around here, and just find some other places where you can push out your information. Typically, there will probably be also opportunities to link back to your website, and that's going to create what's called a backlink, and backlinks are also really good for your search rankings. So, you know, any opportunity we have to link back to your website from another website is great. So all of these things, the blogging, the pages, the event calendar, the local calendars, those are all fabulous for SEO. Okay, email marketing. This is a big one, because if you have an email list, one of the big incentives to being an email list subscriber is that you get exclusivity, right? Like you subscribed but you want to subscribe for a reason. Like, I don't want to be I'm part of like so many email lists that I probably shouldn't be a part of anymore because I don't shop there, I don't use their services anymore or whatever, but I signed up because I get some kind of perk, like I'll get a discount or I'll be, the first to know about sales or specials or whatever else. And so when you have email subscribers, you want to treat them like VIPs. That's what they are. So your email list is the first place that you are going to share event details. When you know about that event, when you're like, okay, this is absolutely happening, guess what? That email goes out and you want to go ahead and just trickle down the event details, first dibs on tickets or information, maybe first chance to like get in. If you have an in-person event, you could even do like a little VIP ahead of time. If people are email subscribers, then you get in, 30 minutes before everyone else, whatever incentive you want to offer. And you can even market that on your website, just saying, when you sign up for our newsletter, be the first to know about exciting updates and events, or however else you want to tease that, like make them understand that they're subscribing for a reason. It's not just to put your name on another list, because Lord knows most people don't really need another email. So incentivize the heck out of it so that they want to subscribe and they want to be a part of that community. And that's all I have for my website and email marketing.
Awesome. Thank you, Kara. All right. Man, you all are troopers for hanging in there. We are running behind. I told you we had a lot of information to share, but we're running a little bit behind schedule. So thanks for staying on, guys. I appreciate you so much. I had some technical difficulties when we kicked off the beginning of the event. That's kind of slowing our roll just a little bit, but I wanted to kind of recap everything with you all and go through, we've talked about a lot of different pieces to the puzzle here when it comes to event promotion. But I hope that you found at least one or two little nuggets of information that are helpful to you. We have had some questions submitted to us, so I'm going to pull those up right now, and we are going to dive into Q&A time with our team members that are live here with me today. So we answered a lot of the questions that were submitted throughout the presentations, but I'm just going to pick a few of them here to elaborate on just a little bit more. So one of the questions that rolled in is, how do I know who to advertise my event to? And if you have an additional question, throw it in the comment section and we'll answer that. And try and pick and choose some of these to answer along the way. But we'll answer all of them in the comment section after we're done here being live. So how do you know who to advertise your event to? Is your event for everyone? The answer is always no. Please do not tell me that your event is an event that everyone can enjoy. Your event should be to a specific audience or a few different specific audiences at least. So girls, Michael had to bolt out to go do a project and work, but my two Karas are here with me. So I'm gonna kind of open it up to all of us to jump in and share what we know. So do either of you have anything to throw into that question about how do you know who to advertise to?
I think it kind of goes back to your branding and your branding strategy of who's your audience? Who are your personas? Those are the same people that you're promoting to on social media that you should be promoting to the event. And therefore, like your copy is going to match your audience. Your title, name, how you're directing it is going to be the same exact thing. So take all of those branding strategies and push them forth to your event planning.
Yeah, and if you don't know who your audience really is, if you've been in business or had your nonprofit going for even a little bit amount of time, you can go in and use the data and analytics that are built into a lot of the social media platforms. Maybe you use Google Analytics on your website, and you can pull together some information from those numbers and the information that's in those places, and you can create really a persona of who your audience is. So there's plenty of resources out there, but we can help you with that if you have more in-depth questions about figuring out your audience and who to market your events to in particular. I don't see any questions in the comments yet, so I'm going to roll down my list of pre-submitted questions. What apps or tools can I use to promote my event? Oh my gosh, you guys, that's a big question. There's so many. There's so many good apps and tools out there that you can use to promote your event today. I know we covered a few in the presentations earlier, but maybe a couple of others that weren't specifically mentioned would be, do you have any, girls, do you have any come to mind?
It wasn't specifically mentioned, but you can create GIFs for the event specifically and put them on Giphy.
Yes.
All of your normal social media platforms, the calendars that Kara McCann mentioned. Try and get, maybe even trying to partner with local news outlets, or even a lot of them have calendars, or cities have calendars, and try and get on those. If someone can figure out how to get to the Visit Norfolk or the Visit Virginia Beach calendar, please let me know, because I'm going to know.
So Kara's throwing the question back at you all. How do you like that? Yeah, some of the tools that we mentioned earlier, like Kara said, Giphy, like we have a package where we build out a brand channel for companies or for nonprofits that are having an event and want to put some GIFs up, or even if you're not having an event, you just want that brand awareness. Canva was one that we talked about multiple times. For emails, we love MailChimp. So many tools and resources out there. And some of the things that we've given away today would be great for promoting your events. So the gimbal that Loretto won earlier, oops, I dropped the cleaning thing, and the ring light that Martha won. Those are both great tools. Well, I mean, the ring light doesn't help you promote ahead of time, but unless you're just needing that glow while you're.
It helps promote ahead of time because it helps you to record.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay, they got me. They got me. Okay, I'm just gonna take one more question and then I'm gonna move on because it's 2:00 and I have to go close on my 2 houses. I have to go sell a house and buy a house this afternoon.
And farmers market.
Oh yeah, and I have to go to the Get Farmers Market. So we got a lot going on today, but we're making it happen. Okay, so let's see, which one of these questions should we throw in? Ooh, do I need to be on an event platform like Eventbrite? It sure as heck doesn't hurt. Now, the thing with Eventbrite is that you do have to, if you are selling tickets with a fee for the tickets, then they do take a fee from you. But if you have a free event, you can throw your free event up there. And it's, I mean, specifically Eventbrite, like it's such a popular platform and it's got so much search history that Google loves it. So even if you don't think you're gonna give away or sell any tickets on there, I would consider testing it out just at least one event. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, good answer. That's why I hired you all. You're here to validate me.
He's always right.
Oh, well now you're just sucking up, and that's not cute.
I don't look cute any time anymore.
All right, so that brings us to the conclusion of this amazing jam-packed live streaming masterclass, but I don't want to leave without giving away our main prize. You guys, you have waited very patiently. I am going to give away to one of these 3 people in the wheel who are left in the wheel here $100 off one of the following 3 choices of services. So you can choose from a brand identity design package, a website design or redesign, or an animated explainer video from our team. So you'll get an amazing service, our normal service where we really cater to you and meet you where you're at, but I'm gonna pay out of my own pocket for my staff to for $100 worth of that. And yeah, I hope you all are excited Tim, Michelle, and Elaine. Here we go. I'm gonna spin and see. It's Tim Ritter from FFX Family Fun Experience. Congratulations, Tim. Yay! I love it. Okay, so Tim, we'll be reaching out to you to let you know how you can cash in. I mean, we see each other at BizConnect events and all over the place. So, but yeah, that's the conclusion of today. Thank you all so much for your time. I would like to give a special shout out to my amazing staff who has been busting their butts to make this happen, putting their presentations together, helping with here in person, recording those videos. I love you guys so much, and I'm very, very grateful for their hard work. Also, another shout out to Laura with the BizConnect and the Sometimes Gallery. Thank you for letting us use the space. Thank you for your attention on Facebook. Thank you, Facebook, for existing and having live available capabilities. I mean, Zoom. I'm just
everyone who breathes.
everyone is just really nice, and I appreciate them. So that's it for today's 100th episode. I was going to pop a bottle of champagne, but it's too close to time for me to drive around and do things now. So maybe we'll record that. Maybe we'll record that after I close on my house here this afternoon, and we'll post that for you all to enjoy later. So have a great rest of your day, and watch next Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our 101st episode of 5 Minute-ish FriYAY.